Hey everybody, how's it going? So, I've been real upfront and honest about the fact that my whole career is kind of an elaborate science experiment. I was lucky enough to achieve a major professional goal of my adult life, which was making a dignified living as a professional filmmaker before I turned 30. But as far as making that dream sustainable, I have no idea what I'm doing. I am literally making it up as I go along. The job that I have right now, YouTuber, content creator, whatever you want to call it, didn't exist back when I first got interested in filmmaking when I was 12. And, 20 years from now, with the rise of AI and everything, it probably won't exist either. At least not in the same way. Everyone in the entertainment industry seems to agree cinema is dying and something else is slouching to Bethlehem to be born. And this could just be my own bias, but I really do think that YouTube is at the front line of that transformation. And in a way that's very dear to my heart, it's where independent film is truly thriving. Now, by independent film, I don't mean some quirky A24 movie starring Willem Dafoe. I mean a movie made by weirdos in flyover country with $12 and a roll of duct tape. Stuff on YouTube might not be immediately recognizable as cinema, but we've all seen things on this platform that's been entertaining and cinematic and, most importantly, touched us emotionally. Might be a video essay or a comedy sketch or a web series, but we've all seen things that made us think, how is somebody in their basement making something this remarkable when Netflix, with tens of millions of dollars, is just churning out slop? A few years ago, I made a movie called The Sudbury Devil, which most film people would call a micro-budget film. That is to differentiate it from so-called low-budget films, which these days refer to A24 movies that cost $8 million and star Colin Farrell as a man in Sweden who talks to a pumpkin and learns how not to be racist or something. Our movie was financially successful and well-received, but I'm not gonna lie, there was always something that I felt was a little anticlimactic about how we rolled it out. There was a part of me that hated seeing it just get sucked into the whole Tubi Prime Video ecosystem of asylum film ripoffs and Mel Gibson's sad old man movies. And I started to realize that this was a limitation of the medium of film itself. I don't know about y'all, but when my wife and I are looking for something to watch for the evening, we'll often go, how long is this movie? 2 hours? Oh, I don't know. How about we watch 8 episodes of The Office instead? Or, this 4-hour video essay called Doctor Who and Neocolonialism, which is obviously insane, but it's also shockingly common. There's no two ways about it, folks. As a society, our viewing habits are changing. So when I was trying to decide what my next film was going to be, I basically went to my team and brought them some of these concerns. And I basically said to them, look, why don't we make something that plays to our strengths? We're this scrappy pirate crew in the new media space. We've got this enthusiastic audience of history nerds. We've got a reputation for being sort of academically rigorous, but also having really high production value. So why don't we do something that allows us to do all the things that we love to do, like, have actors do great scenes, like create great cinematic moments, while at the same time making something that is genuinely educational and informative. One of my favorite documentaries is called Culloden. It's a British movie directed by Peter Watkins, made in the 60s. And the conceit is that a modern camera crew is dropped back in time during the Rising of 45 in Scotland. And it's filming the battles, it's interviewing the people involved. The battle is staged, it's fictional, it's actors in makeup, and it's all faked. But at the same time, it is this very, very accurate, sort of to the understanding at the time, portrayal of Culloden and the Highland clearances. And what I really love about it is that it makes education emotionally resonant, which is like my whole fucking thing. So what I'd like to do, and this is the big announcement, this is it, are you ready? What I'd like to do is make a docudrama for the new media era, combining the analytical form of video essays with the thematic weight and cinematic production quality of traditional narrative cinema. With further inspiration from Italian neorealism, we will feature real people and real events, as well as actors doing scenes, and you won't always be sure right away where one ends and the other begins. It'll be a investigative documentary and a fucking badass feature film all rolled into one. And it's going to be called So a few years ago, I wrote a short story about a vampire in New Orleans, and it was very much a response to the work of my good friend Anne. She probably won't come out to be in the video, unfortunately, at least not until dark. Some of you might remember this idea. I gave the elevator pitch a couple years ago in an old Q&A. I wrote a novella this autumn. It was inspired by Interview with a Vampire. In the novel, Louis is this vampire who is a plantation owner in the late 18th century, and when he's a young vampire, he feels a lot of angst about having to eat people, so he mostly eats animals. And it occurred to me that if a vampire from that time period actually lived in the modern day, realistically with the worldview of that time, he wouldn't want to eat people, but those qualms would probably only apply to white people, right? So my novella is about this 220-year-old vampire who was a plantation owner and is a huge racist and an old-timey racist, you know. And he sleeps in a coffin in the basement of an abandoned hospital that is still flooded by Katrina water, and that's a real place. And he comes out at night to hunt black people in poor neighborhoods. If that isn't the most apt fucking metaphor for all of the cultural and social problems that New Orleans is facing right now, I don't fucking know what is. Of course, Anne Rice cemented the idea of the Southern Gothic vampire in horror fiction and pop culture. And we've had a litany of Confederate and plantation-owning vampires over the last 50 years. But interestingly, this hasn't really been sociologically examined until recently, namely with the excellent new adaptation of Interview with a Vampire on AMC, which kind of just sidesteps the issue entirely by updating the setting to the Jazz Age, and of course Ryan Coogler's new film, Sinners. And I liked Sinners, but my main issue with that movie was that, and you're gonna laugh, but my main issue was that the vampire lord wasn't historically accurate. You know, we get vague hints of this like Irish pagan background for him, but really he's like 20% druid and 80% Berkeley hippie. He's the white progressive, you know, in the same way that Get Out says beware the white liberal, Sinners says beware the white progressive. He's, you know, a Brooklyn gentrifier. And that's cool, but like, it's not really what I want to do. It's not what I'm going for. My vampires are a lot like other Atun-Shei characters. They're historical figures in arrested development. People taken from the past and dropped unceremoniously in the present. And if you have a bloodsucker with a terrifying, old-timey moral compass hunting modern New Orleanians who feel like real people, that's a recipe for terror. We're not playing it for laughs like we do with The Witchfinder General or Frozen 50s Man. We're playing it straight. It's the horrors of the past visited upon the present in the most literal, ham-fisted way possible. So I always thought that premise would make a pretty good movie, but at the same time, I had an idea for a video essay about ghost and vampire legends in New Orleans. I used to be a tour guide in the French Quarter, and I've always been fascinated by the historicity of some of the neighborhood's most popular legends. Some of them have been just made up out of whole cloth, but others actually do have a historical basis. And specifically, they draw from the, unfortunately, very deep well of historical trauma, like slavery, race, class, the immigrant experience that has plagued New Orleans for the last 300 years. So I want to scratch these legends and see what's underneath. But we won't just examine New Orleans' distant past. We'll also explore the phenomenon of the city's modern-day vampire subculture, which emerged out of the mall goth scene in the 1990s. People who do actually consider themselves vampires, some of whom literally do drink blood, and are still around the city, just out and about. Hopefully we'll be able to get one or two of them to sit down for an interview. Many of the cast and crew of the Sudbury Devil are returning for the Vampires of New Orleans, but we're also getting some new faces in the mix, and I think I can confidently say that this will be on a whole nother level of quality, innovation, and of course, sheer fucked upness. And I'm very happy to report that we are paying for all of this in-house. I'm not doing a Kickstarter, we're not coming to you hat in hand on this one. The only ask that I have in this video is that if you're excited that we're making another film, spread the word, make posts, tell your friends, build hype. And if you are one of my supporters on Patreon, I just ask that you keep it up. There'll probably be times, especially this upcoming autumn and winter, when I won't be posting on YouTube as much, and your support is going to be more important than ever in those times. And, as always, the Patreon is just the absolute backbone of everything that we do here. Everything we do here at Atun-Shei Films, not everything that we do at Anne Rice's Tomb. And if you'd like to keep tabs on the production, I've set up an official Tumblr account, which is, of course, the most vampiric social media site, where I'll be posting frequent updates. Links in the description. Boo!